Now, Johannesburg residents say Rand Water has not kept its promise to keep supply between 50 and 67% as it conducts extensive maintenance to infrastructure. In fact, some residents in the northern and western suburbs have been without water for more than 3 days. Newzroom Afrika's Veronica Makhoali joins us now from Auckland Park. Veronica, and it's the story that many communities are telling, right? That there's no warning when water is going to be cut off, and that as I just said in my introduction, there's literally no water coming out of the tap when we were told that it would be between 50 and 67%, and we were also told not to store water. So what now?
Absolutely, Michelle. In fact, that is the exact issue that has gotten residents and businesses in the situation that they find themselves in now. Prior to the water maintenance, there was word, of course, from Rand Water that supply would be kept, but of course it would be throttled, but there would be a supply of water. We also got confidence from Joburg Water itself, also saying that they would be making sure that there is alternative water supply. We've been on the ground speaking to residents and businesses alike who say they are severely impacted by these constraints because others have either over-prepared and others have under-prepared, and it's because of just the lack of clarity between how severely the system would be impacted. And I can tell you, Michelle, from local businesses right up to giant retailers like the one that we are in now have been affected. As we were speaking, in fact, these boxes of water arrived. Shelves of 2-litre, 5-litre water bottles were left empty, with the residents, of course, scrambling. You can understand that is a markings of the high demand of the water needed in this community. They've, in fact, just received this delivery and have started to just unpack it. They've been saying that water has been running out faster than, of course, they can get the deliveries from various suppliers. But it's not just the matter of supply being out of high demand. There's also an issue of finding that alternative water supply. Residents in Auckland Park have told us about the inconsistencies of water tankers coming to their areas, as well as the inconsistencies of JoJo tanks being filled up. And this has led to the queue that you are seeing here inside this retailer, where they are now essentially turning towards the infrastructure that has been provided here to provide water. I understand that it's about R1 a litre, and residents have essentially now have turned away from using what Joburg Water would say would be an alternative supply, and are now essentially purchasing water to make sure that they can just get a simple supply or anything inside of their homes. We're going to just talk to just one of the residents now just to find out, and I can tell you, Michelle, that these lines, these queues, these containers that we're seeing has been the order of the day since we've arrived. Sir, you're live on Newzroom Afrika on channel 405. Tell us a little bit about the impact the water shortages have had for you.
I think it's been an inconvenience because, you know, this is such a basic need. So for us to have to now pay for something like this, and even when we step outside and see like the water tanks, it's pumped, there's no order, there's no queues. So yeah, it's really been a mess, such an inconvenience. Because, you know, water is a part of our daily lives. You know, we could live without the electricity, but water is like it's basic sanitation. So having to deal with that has been, it's been a interesting times. Like, if it's not water, it's electricity. If it's not electricity, it's water. So bouncing between the two has been, it's been hell, to be honest.
And let's talk a little bit more about those JoJo tanks. I see there is one stationed just a few meters from where we are at this shopping complex. And you're talking about the fact that there are long queues there. So why would you rather, pay for water over taking the alternative supply provided by the municipality?
All right, cool. So with regards to that, I think it's because of time as well, the convenience of having to pay for the water, because you find that you're standing there for 3-4 hours and there's no order, there's no queue, everybody's frustrated, people haven't showered and they're grumpy, so now there's a bit of like conflict and the tensions are high, so you just don't want to have to deal with that. So I think just having to buy the water is an alternative, but we incur the cost, take it to the chest and do what we need to do. So Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. And, just hearing some of the sentiments there from residents talking about the waiting times at JoJo tanks. And I think as well, Michelle, a very big issue is trusting the water source that comes through. We know that what we've heard from the management from this retailer is that there is a filter that comes through from this water supply. So we've seen a lot more residents coming here to that. Some of them also really skeptical about the issue of JoJo tanks and saying, is this water clean and tested? We do know from Joburg Water, they've said that they are directly supplying this and will ensure the quality of that water. But again, Michelle, just the frustration really coming from residents who are now taking the water cuts into their own hands, really making efforts to make sure that they do have that supply. And we'll be continuing to monitor the situation in this area and also speaking to businesses that are taking quite a knock.
Veronica, what has Rand Water said in response to these complaints from residents and businesses? The big issue, I think, as I see it, are twofold. The fact that there's no prior warning when water is going to be cut off, and of course the level of throttling that residents and businesses are going to see. Because most residents are reporting absolutely nothing coming out of their taps. What is Rand Water saying?
Yeah. So, Michelle, you would remember between Rand Water and Joburg Water, Rand Water stands as the bulk supplier to the infrastructure here in Johannesburg. It has maintained that work at both its Iconov pump station as well as the work that has been done at the Veronica plant, is that they would keep that water throttled at about between 50 to 67% supply. And so from Rand Water's side, they said that the only time they've really taken a knock in terms of the maintenance work was when the Swartkopies booster station had a sort of a power failure, an Eskom power failure on Wednesday evening. And so that also essentially affected their maintenance work, rendering certain areas in Johannesburg to be completely dry. You'd also understand that Johannesburg Water has now come under heavy scrutiny because of its own infrastructure. And so Joburg Water essentially saying that because of the maintenance and the very low supply that is coming through from Rand Water, it's not necessarily enough to reach as many households as we do have in of course, the city of Johannesburg. But what I can tell you in terms of an update, one of the hardest hit areas is those communities that are supplied by the Randburg system. Joburg Water, in fact, saying that that reservoir is completely dry. And of course, that is why you are seeing the kind of, efforts from residents now to prepare and to get that water. So systems like boreholes have become very handy for these residents. And of course, the main question a lot that's on people's mind is when will we start to see that recovery? With a 5-week maintenance project, it is expected to take some time. And of course, we can expect to be seeing a lot more of these issues, a lot more of people coming with their containers. And I think, Michelle, if you can also just see the size of these containers, I mean, as well as the fact that they will be using just this single supply of water to be filling up, these large containers ranging from 10 liters. It's really about to also take strain on the water that is already available in some areas in Johannesburg. And that is what as well Joburg and Randburg Water are concerned about, is that where there is water in certain areas, are we going to be seeing, of course, that immense amount of water usage?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the other issue is, Veronica, that not everyone can afford to go to a supermarket like the one that you're at and to buy water. And then there are the elderly, pensioners who are not able to go and queue at a JoJo tank. So what then?
Michelle, this is, of course, when the alternative water supply comes in as key. And if we are getting what we are hearing from residents in regards to inconsistencies about the water tankers roaming those areas, very crucial, as you've mentioned, not just the elderly, but hospitals. We are on a school break now, but we are expecting this maintenance work to take place until the 29th of July, with schools coming back anytime soon for the next term. So you'd understand that there is also quite a lot of pressure in the city of Johannesburg to make sure that these resources reach as many areas as possible. And if we're really getting the sense that this is not coming at a consistent supply, at a consistent rate, we are definitely going to be seeing issues. And this is, of course, as well when communities are expected to come and work together as Joburg residents to make sure, I think, as well, to say, if you know that there is an elderly couple living down the road from you, make sure that you are able to get just, one bucket or one supply to make sure that you can get to them and make sure that you can help them out as well. But of course, the issue of cost, businesses here saying that they did not predict that they would have to spend, about 50 Rand for liters and liters of water every single day to keep their businesses running, but also the ordinary South African that's already feeling a cost of living crunch. So many impacts, and of course we'll be hoping to see what both entities say about at least providing a supply, as low as it may be, but some sort as well as of just a conditioning to make residents understand that perhaps maybe expect water in the morning and in the evening, but this is really a very frustrating moment for now.